Have you heard about the Whimsy Goth Market in London? A brand spanking new market for the weird and magical, held at Cecile Sharp House in Camden. A space created where individuality is celebrated and small businesses are supported, where all subcultures can come together, feel safe, welcome and included. For more information on this magical event, visit www.thewhimsygothmarket.uk.
Darkcast Network, bringing our indie podcasts out of the shadows.
Now then, witches and beautiful souls. I had an idea this afternoon whilst I was on my beautiful jog on Boxing Day 25 in the lovely sunshine that my skin so badly needed. And I thought perhaps I could share with you last year's audio Omen Days. But what are Omen Days? So Omen Days are a set of 12 days that occur between the end of the lunar year and the end of the solar year, traditionally celebrated from the 26th of December to the 6th of January. These days are rooted in Celtic traditions. Each day is considered a literal omen, offering insights and messages for the upcoming year, encouraging reflection and divination. The Omen Days serve as a time for a deep introspective moment of reflection every day, which is also very good for your mental health in this rather busy period. It enables you to stop, reflect and just enjoy the time really, and connect with nature, as I'm always going on about on this podcast. This is something that Sally Golightly introduced me to and is currently starting it today on her Wild Collective, which she runs. I've done them maybe 2 or 3 times now. I think this might be my third or my 4th year, I can't quite remember. And I began it today and I thought, I should totally share with the listeners last year's audio Omen Days, where I'd quickly run through the pages of what I got and how I got it. I'm reflecting on the year I've just had. They're not too far-fetched really. I can apply a lot of the Omen Days to the actual month and how it panned out for me. So if you are able to join me on the Omen Days, please do. Doesn't have to take you a lot of time. Could just be a few words reflecting on the day and then maybe a little doodle sketch with your pen. You can make it as elaborate or as simple as you like. And show me what you've created, because I bet it's absolutely beautiful. And it would help me as well to let me know there's people actually listening to this and being inspired, because at the moment, tumbleweeds. And don't stress, because it's supposed to be fun. You don't have to be an artist doing works of arts like Pablo Picasso. It is just for fun, a bit of divination and a bit of magic in your days. Okay, so I'll add the file now to this. Enjoy. And these are my Omen Days that I began this time last year. Audio Omen Days 2024 by Swales the Friendly Green Witch of the Bell Witch Podcast. Let's begin. Day 1, 26th of December, January. On this page, I drew the outline of a distant tree on the hill behind my house, naked and alone with no leaves, in the fog with the sun behind it, which kind of looked like the moon because the fog was so thick. It was such a lovely vision to see before me, and I drew it with purples and greens and browns. Today started out lazily. Took me quite a while to get out of bed. Slept in from going to bed too late, but I didn't feel guilty about it. Although the skies were clear, it had a little bit of a calm almost. And all I can think about is the running stream from yesterday's jog in the woods and how clear it was and how it has lessons for me if I just listen. And later on in the day, thick fog covered the local lands on the hills, and I couldn't see the usual field behind my house where the cows graze. I noticed there was a delicate haze to all the air around me, and although it felt like it should be cold, it was actually really mild. And although I was excited and inspired, I felt like there was a tiny bit of doubt forming around the day as I couldn't see past the thick fog that approached. Not feeling alone, but needing alone time to connect and transform without movement is one of the hardest things to achieve. Breathe and be still in this moment of the first day of the Omens. Day 2, 27th of December, which is February. On this page, there is a realistic sketch of a swan, beautifully white on blue background, with an orange beak and its black eyes, with splashes of yellow watercolour on the beautiful white wings of the swan. As it lit it up in the sunset, it was quite a remarkable sight. Today, me and the family went up to the Tarn, which is a still body of water, man-made, but looks and behaves like a lake. The weather was so gorgeous, it was really sunny and it wasn't really cold. We went to feed the ducks and they all flocked upon us, and the golden sun touched the wings that were so creamy white of the swan's back as we fed them birdseed by the side of the water. Then the air changed and I looked to the other side of the tarn and the mist was rolling back in, and it created a kind of half misty, half clear, beautiful and unique landscape which looked so gorgeous. I did attempt to take photographs on my mobile device, but it wouldn't capture the sight that I was seeing with the naked eye. I could have stared at it for ages. It was just so perfect and outstandingly beautiful. And the mist slowly came across the water and engulfed us, which to me meant it was time to go home. But that wasn't a negative decision that I made, and it wasn't about escaping the mist, but only that things change around you and your experiences are no longer as fulfilling as the first was, and then it's okay to leave. And I interpret this as enjoy the beauty and the success while it's there. Everything always changes, such as the Wheel of Fortune in the tarot. And when that happens, be flexible. Don't hold on too tight and move with the times. Follow the route via different paths, whilst noticing the journey and adapting to the landscape conditions. Day 3, March. On this page, it's a pink watercolour background and there is a pen sketch of a bird feeder in my back garden on my branch of my apple tree. Today, we didn't leave the house because extended family came over and stayed all day. And I was stood up with my brew and I saw these tiny birds outside my window pecking at this very old birdseed. Sparrows and robins, finally noticing this birdseed that's been on offer for ages. They must have been absolutely starving, but they were just so joyful and flitty and flappy. And I stood and observed them for quite a while, these teeny tiny birds. And I made a note to myself to go out there and clean the feeders and give them fresh seed, because this seed had even sprouted plants. It was that old. They must have been so hungry, bless them. And I think the message to take away from this is like, Do stuff for others that enables them to thrive when they're desperately in need. Stand around and observe them thriving and enjoy that moment with pure and utter delight, respect and love. Day 4, April, the 29th. I can't lie, I struggled with this page. There's nothing really on it apart from a few doodles and some words, and I'll tell you why. Today, we went out to the cinema, and all I saw was trash. It made me so sad for the world and brought my mood down. But it was just good to be together as a family to watch a film on the big screen for the first time ever. Unfortunately, this page is blank because I just didn't want to draw litter and rubbish. But it just made such a big impact on me. I think I just really wanted to get my bag out and pick up the trash and care. It just seemed like there were no love for the earth. There were no respect for where we were. It really got to me. So that'll be interesting for April. Maybe I'll observe something and just have to get involved. Day 5, May. This is the 30th of December. And today is all about the dark moon. Within my pages, they are painted green with felt tip, and there's a really big dark moon in the middle of the page. Because this dark moon was a very big deal today in terms of witchcraft and working with her wholeheartedly. I ended up doing a lot of witchcraft work that evening in terms of personal magic and also custom magic. I had an order for a powerful spell to sell a house, and I invoked the goddess Hecate, and I did feel like it was a really good spell. It was dark and there was shadow work, but I feel it was needed. To grow, you need the darkness as well as the light. And I'm so glad that this day incorporated so much balancing witchcraft and magic. And it really lifted me from yesterday's Omen Day when I felt very sad about all the litter on the ground. Day 6, June, the 31st of December. Water, rain and storms, a dark and gloomy day. Company came, we were busy all day, and I was dreaming about the ocean and going to see the sea. But there was no time for that, and so the sea came out in the Omen Days. Within these pages, they're decorated with firework-like stars, pictures of the oceans from magazines, purples and pinks, and it really does have an exciting celebratory feel on this page. Not so much sketching or painting, but just a sense of wonder for the future. June is a really busy month for me, for all us witches. One of my most favourite camps happens in mid-June, and also, of course, it's summer solstice, which is a big deal in witch world. And June is such a topsy-turvy month for me personally, but it also is of the longest day of the year and all the things to celebrate with friends. And today was very much a day of celebrating with friends. Day 7, July, the first day of 2025. On the pages of this sketchbook day, there is clouds of pinks and blues, beautiful sunshine poking throughout, a combination of drawn clouds and collage clouds. It is a very artistic page and one I quite like a lot. Today I noticed the clouds with an array of beautiful, friendly colours, orange, baby blue, beautiful pinks, a stunning palette of vibrant colours in the sunset. Although I do feel ill today, which is self-inflicted, their beauty was not lost on me at all in the evening. It made me sit down and look out of my window to the west and be thankful for the day that I almost wasted, but felt these clouds gave me something else. A message. A message to see the bigger picture. Day 8. August. 2nd of January. On this page is quite a big, colourful river that's blues and greens with weeds all around it, flowing freely. Little fish in the waters. It's a very scribbly page, a very animated page, but one I really like. Today was the first day of the year where I was parenting solo, and things were returning to normal. It was a calm, sunny and crispy day, but beautifully sparkly in the sunshine. And I decided to take my children out to a farm. And in this farm there was this gorgeous calm stream that went right through it, quite a big stream, quite fast moving, but just so calm and lovely to watch. And all around the stream there were weeds thriving and little birds flitting around. I could see a couple of fish just briefly, I think. And not only did I stand and look at it in awe, but my kids also wanted to just stand and look at it and throw pebbles in it and stuff. And it had such a feeling of adventure and like a really inviting river to interact with. Fun and exciting, fast but calm. And we spent quite a lot of time not looking at animals because there weren't many because it was winter. I think the highlight of the day was this river, which we've never really given much time to before. August is a month of holidaying because it's the big 6-week holidays in which we go camp and do stuff. And I'm a severe planner of life, but I feel this year, as it's my 40th year, I'm going to attempt to do things differently and be a lot more open and go with the flow. And I think this page for August captures that beautifully. Day 9, September, 3rd of January. This page is decorated in old musical pages with musical notes, coloured in greys and blues, with a couple of little sketches of birds singing their little hearts out, and a crescent waxing moon with a star above it as one of the planets was just so bright today. There's a sun collaged in there too with pink and green, and it is quite a scribbly quick page. Today the Christmas tree got put away and I made plans. I cleaned and I tidied and I sat down for a rest, and I could hear these birds outside my window and they were singing the little hearts out, and it sounded like they were celebrating and waking up to something, and they were just so loud, and I'd never really noticed how loud they were in the front room before, and so I just knew it was my Omen. I sat there and I listened and I heard them celebrating, and it made me excited to carry on cleaning and stop listening to podcasts and give them some of my time, because even though I couldn't see them, I knew they were there. I could hear them and I appreciated them. September's going to be my big birthday this year, and so this captures fantastically the vibe of September. I absolutely will be singing by September. Day 10, October, the 4th of January. This one again is the bird feeder, but it's a close-up of it, full of seed but no birds, scribbled in felt tips and pens. It does have an air of being rushed, because I noticed the tiny birds eating old seed the other day. I made a point to go out, bring the feeders in, wash them up, give them a deep clean, put the new seed in and hang them back out. And then I watched for a good hour and they just didn't come back. And it started to snow, and I hoped they'd learn to trust me again, because I felt I'd affected something or disturbed something. And then regret came, but then I realised I'd done something that will ultimately benefit them, and I just need to be patient. Day 11, November, 5th of January. Today was heavy snow, so heavy, and the whole country just freaked. My pages are adorned with pen to paper picture of a tree surrounded by snowflakes and terribly drawn footprints walking underneath the tree. footprints in the snow. I went out early to go to my appointment to give blood, which obviously was cancelled. And when I got there, I was the only one that had entered the building. But it was a fantastic opportunity to get out early and walk in the white stuff. Without this appointment, I absolutely would not have gone out that day. There was absolutely nobody around. It was that quiet snow where it kind of muffles all your hearing. So peaceful. And I did feel like I were in some kind of Narnia land. It was really magical. I was inspired. Everything was covered up with this beautiful white blanket of snow. And then I started thinking about snow spells and how snow is such a beautiful feminine energy that comes down, is quite glamorous and is quite mysterious in the terms of it covers stuff up and makes everything just so beautiful. I think there's quite a lot to snow when you think about it from a witchcraft perspective. Snow takes its time and snow asks you to slow down. Day 12, December, the 6th of January. This page is a big heart frame instead of the classic photo-shaped frame. And within it is a slanted scene of snow and grass poking through the snow with little plants and snowdrops growing, a blue, slightly cloudless sky and a big, beautiful sun melting away the snow. More snow fell overnight, and that meant there were no school in the morning because people just weren't ready for the amount of snow we had. So it was an extra day of relaxing before going back to the normal rat race. And it felt like a gift in an extra day of holiday. So the family snuggled up on the sofa. And the sun was really bright, although it was cold. It started to melt away the snow and little bits of grass poked out. And it was just a perfect blue sky in the end, with sweet little wispy clouds. I could feel the very beginnings of life stirring, thinking about waking up as Imolc is coming and we can celebrate Gaia waking up from her slumber and the year ahead after December 25. That concludes my audio Omen Days podcast, a walkthrough of my journal pages of the Omen Days 24/25. I hope it's been helpful and I invite you to do your own Omen Days. Stay magical, witches.